As the Eurythmics song says, sisters are doing it for themselves. And in the food game, the Kemps certainly have. This is the Architects of Business, Joe's series of interviews with leading entrepreneurs in partnership with EY Entrepreneur of the Year. I'm Tadhg Enright, and today I'll be speaking with Peachess Kemp, who along with her sister Domini brought New York-style bagels to Ireland with their food company Itsa. Peachess, lovely to meet you. What is it, do you think, that makes us all love a good bagel?
I think it's, well, certainly for us with what we do, it's about the fantastic fillings that we put in it. So it's about certainly getting a bagel and baking it the right way. It's very important that you boil bagels in terms of how you make them. So in the States and what we do over here, because we now have the bagels here in Ireland, it's about making them, boiling them and then baking them. Gives them that wonderful moisture.
And where do some of them go wrong? Because I'm sure lots of us have bitten into a nice bagel and expected like doughy amazingness, but been a bit disappointed. So where do the bad bagels go wrong?
Well, I think it's that. I think it's the quality of the ingredients that they use. And I think that goes for everything in food, to be honest with you. When food goes wrong, it's usually because of poor ingredients.
So what made you think that bagels were going to be a hit in Ireland?
Well, Domini, my sister, and I started this back in 1999, and I think the two of us at that stage of our lives, we had found ourselves jobless because our relationships had gone on the skids. And so what we decided, we both were qualified chefs and we were looking to open up a lunchtime place. We had worked together for many years. I had a catering company. And so we wanted to do something that was different. And so we thought, well, if we're going to do a lunchtime cafe and do sandwiches, what is going to be that point of difference? And we'd spent a lot of time over in the States, in New York, and been educated over there as well. So we went over and we started exploring the idea of bringing bagels into Ireland, and went over in the summer of 1999. Met H&H Bagels over there, took the plunge, bought 80,000 of them.
How many?
80,000.
80,000?
On one frozen container.
Wow.
Shipped them over here and decided that we would get really, really fantastic fillings. So we also made all of those ourselves and had all these bagels sitting in storage in the docks on frozen storage.
Wow.
And launched the company. It was a big punt.
How long did it take you to burn through those 80,000 bagels?
Funnily enough, it wasn't too long because, it took off. It was a slow burner to start with, and then it took off after about six months or so. So we did get there, and we've sold millions since.
And your next order was for how many from H&H?
The same. You had
Another
to do 80,000 at a time. The big 40-foot reefer containers that you see in the back of trucks? That's what we had to bring in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the food scene like back then? What was it, 1999 you said?
Yeah.
And how exotic did bagels seem at the time?
They were very exotic. And as somebody once asked me, they were like, why are you importing dogs? And they thought they were beagles. So it was just like, oh no, we've got an awfully long way to go.
Did they have to go to quarantine?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had so far to go with this. And, in terms of making people aware of what a bagel was. Now, anyone who had spent time in the States was aware of it, but it just shows what the food culture was like at that stage. It had not reached the international level that we're at now. So, the most exotic thing was sort of, was going into O'Brien's was the most exotic sandwich in Dublin at the time. So,
and it was just a sliced pan.
Yeah, no, it was just, but they were very good, but we were just looking at it and going, there's got to be something more we can do with this.
And then it came to the fillings.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's where your kind of chefy know-how came into it.
Absolutely. And those same fillings we're still making today.
Really?
And that's the great thing about it. We designed all these bagels with names like the Mountaineer, the Californian, the Club, and all those ingredients that we had in them, we were making ourselves, like the caramelized onions, the basil mayo, all those things. So we're still doing what we did 20 years ago.
So what's your favourite?
The Californian.
The Californian. Yeah. What's in that?
That is an onion bagel, and it has crispy, streaky bacon, mozzarella, basil mayonnaise, avocado, and lettuce.
Oh my goodness, my mouth is watering.
Yeah, it's a good hangover food.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I could definitely do with a few of them. And what about, you mentioned caramelized onions? That's another favourite of mine.
That's on the Holy Cow.
What do they go into?
On the Holy Cow. Yeah, the Holy Cow now, and with roast beef and horseradish mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, and the caramelized onions.
Okay. So what's the you know, the popular favourite? I mean, your favourite is a Californian, but what's the customer's favourite?
The club is definitely the favourite. So, you know, great loyal following still after all these years, but it's just amazing to see people that really, really loyal to the brand.
And any that didn't work down through the years? Any fillings?
Yeah, let me see. Not a huge amount of them, you know. I mean, there are some things that we've taken off. We used to make a cream cheese with smoked salmon and dill.
That's kind of the standard.
The standard, but you know, people were going for the other stuff. It's
Really?
because I think what we do is we really build a bagel that's almost like that deli sandwich that you get in the States. So it's really packed full of ingredients. So I think the cream cheese and the smoked salmon, it just, you know, not as much as you'd think.
And what's the most adventurous thing you put on the menu?
Oh my goodness, no.
The time you ask people to really take a leap of faith.
I don't know. You got me on that one, Tadhg. But I'd say one of the ones that comes around every single year that people actually wait for, and they tweet about it, is the Santi bagel. It comes in November, and it's, you know, turkey, ham, stuffing, cranberry, mayonnaise, lettuce on an onion bagel. And
sounds phenomenal.
Literally, people start emailing us in November and go, when's the Santi coming back?
What about divisive ingredients though? Like, I'm thinking of pineapple, anchovies. Have they ever featured? No. Okay. Firmly off the menu.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess like so many of the great food enterprises that have popped up in Ireland in the last 20 years or even longer, I suppose, since you guys run the scene, the idea came from overseas.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a kind of a mother of invention, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, you know, and we still do travel a lot to get ideas. It's something that's really important. And I was listening to Brian Lee and, you know, on the podcast there, and it's just amazing that, you know, he went to Australia and that's where he saw the healthy eating. And, you know, we're exactly the same in terms of going abroad, looking to see what the trends are coming down the line as well. But, you know, at the end of the day, good food is good food, you know, and you can muck it up an awful lot by, you know, not treating it with respect. But if you have good quality ingredients, you know, you will have good food.
You and your sister, though, had a more kind of international upbringing than most.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
We were born in the Bahamas and we moved over here went to school in the States and moved over here in 1982 when our father died. And so our mum moved us back. She was Irish, he was Scottish, and stayed here and sort of started cooking and riding horses and, you know, doing all sorts of different entrepreneurial things in terms of I started up my own little catering company. She was riding horses internationally, show jumpers, and had a tack shop. So we've always had that entrepreneurial spirit to go and do something.
And 82, I mean, Ireland was a very different place then.
Very different place, yeah, absolutely.
And what was it like trying to make a splash in the culinary scene then?
Well, I mean, I suppose it was, again, it's going back to networking and trying to find, you know, the niche and what you actually want to do and what you want to serve. So it's getting the message out there, I think so. But definitely what we saw was that there was really no culinary scene here when we arrived.
So what was it you think that gave you that entrepreneurial spirit that you brought with you to Ireland?
I think we've always had it, and I think entrepreneurs, there's always something burning within them. I think they are going to usually be entrepreneurial or not, and I think both of us had that and have it, and I think that's what, you know, you probably find with most entrepreneurs. We're wild spirits, you know, and we're like wild animals, and, you know, if you put us into a very contained environment, we wouldn't really exist and we wouldn't thrive. I think we thrive by being able to go out and to take on things and really sort of take risks, and I think that's what entrepreneurs are. So what we did is we took food, our love and our passion for food, and we put it with that entrepreneurial spirit and decided to do something for ourselves.
Which which trait do you think is the stronger, the business person or the food person, or are they kind of
they go both hand in hand.
They
go hand in hand, and I think it's really a question of, you know, what do you want to achieve? What is it that drives you? What's your passion, and what do you want to change as well? And I think that's what it is. So food is the niche, and that's the area, but it's like, what do you want to do and how do you want to change it and what do you actually want to achieve?
Okay. What was it like when you tried to get that original itsa off the ground? I mean, talk to me about where you were in your lives, what experience you'd had of actually running a business for yourselves at that stage.
Well, you know what? I think we just learned on the job. It was literally fly by the seat of your pants. We had no funding. We couldn't get a bank loan. And I think it was one of those things we just had a vision and were determined to do it. Our mum was a fantastic support in terms of saying, you need, believe in yourselves, go out and do it. What's the worst that can happen? If you fail, you pick yourself back up and move on. And I think that's really important. It's better to try and to fail than not try at all. So for us, it was really about just going out there and going for it. And, we really believed in what we were going to do. And we also had we were thinking, well, if bagels don't work, we can always do really nice bread. So, have that backup plan, have something else that you can do, see how you can shift the direction if it's not working. So for us, it was really about just going forward and doing it as much.
If you couldn't get a bank loan, where did the money come from?
Literally from the sale of Domini's house and some savings that we had as well. So, and it was no more than that. Wasn't a huge amount of money that we needed, to be honest with you. But at the same time, you're sitting there going, well, I'm investing in this myself. So I think at that stage, you really have to make it work. It's your savings, it's your money.
It is. I know it's a family business and it wasn't your house, but in the family, was there any kind of things like, Domini's selling her house for this? Yeah. We got to make this work.
You do have to make it work, absolutely. And I think it puts more pressure on you, especially with family relationships at that stage.
What's it like running a business with your sister?
It's great. It's really fantastic. I think we're very lucky and very unique because we're best friends as well as being sisters and business partners. Probably the early days were, you're sort of trying to figure out your roles. You're trying to figure out personalities, and certainly we were much younger. So, sort of probably more fiery in tempers and less patient and less experience. But as you go through the years and you go through the ups and downs of business, you really come to understand that person is there as your rock. And I think it's very important to manage that relationship, whether it's your family or whether it's a business partner. It's managing and nurturing that relationship. So we're very, very lucky. We absolutely adore each other, but we could kill each other.
Well, I'm about to say, there must be times when you're sick of the sight of her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And vice versa, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with family, you can probably be more honest than you would be maybe with somebody who wasn't. So you're going to say things that are, can sometimes cut to the bone, but always bring it back.
Okay, any times when she was right and you were wrong, and vice versa, any times you were right and she were wrong?
Lots. Absolutely lots. But what you don't do is you don't gloat on the time when you're right. Really important not to do that.
I think that's very good advice.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the obstacles in getting that first shop off the ground and introducing your concept to Dublin at the time. Yeah.
So as I said, certainly it was getting the funding together, literally getting all the logistics together in terms of, hiring people. Do we hire anyone? At the start, it was just the two of us. Finding a location. Fantastic location at the time in the Epicurean Food Hall. Very unique place. Very ahead of its time as well. And really then getting the message out about what we were doing. And I think that's one of the really important things with a business. As you start it, you have to engage with your customer and let your customer know that you're there. So that, social media wasn't around at that stage.
Yeah, how do you get the message out without Twitter?
Exactly.
And the like.
Exactly. No, yeah. So that was really, really important. So you're sitting there. So it was very much about nurturing relationships with the press and going and pitching what we were doing. It was an article in the Irish Times in May of 2000 that really changed things for us. It was in the old Weekender section. It was a half-page spread. And literally we saw turnover double overnight and then just continue. And it was amazing. But it was that power of that one article by Louise East just changed things completely for us. And then everyone else followed.
Wow.
And everyone else came along wanting to know more about us as well. But that one article changed us.
And that kind of put the accelerator. Is that when you started moving into other locations?
Yeah, we moved in, we found Dunleary in 2001, but had started looking at around September 2000. We were going, this is actually going to work. This concept, people like this. We knew we had something that was going to have legs. So we started looking for the other locations then at that stage.
And then the growth spurt continued?
Yeah, but not as fast as we would have expected because the Celtic Tiger was in full swing and property was crazy, mad money for locations. So we weren't able to expand the way that we would have, that it would have been it just wasn't easy at that time because you're taking all your profits and so much of it is going into key money and the location before you've even done the fit out. So we were really quite cautious, I think.
pretty remarkable that, you know, at a time when the economy was doing well, or so we thought at the time, that, you know, a burgeoning young business such as yours was at the time was limited in its growth potential. Yeah,
and I think where we were lucky was that we didn't go and try and get too much in terms of bank loans to expand really rapidly, because I think that would have bitten us badly when the recession did come. So we were very lucky. Our level of debt wasn't really high when the recession came along. And the recession, funnily enough, was our friend to a certain extent, because we actually doubled the size of the company, created new brands. So it was really quite incredible how that changed us. And also, you know, where we went to with the business even before the recession, we started looking at other opportunities again, because property was so restrictive.
It did feel like whenever the recession first, you know, hit back in, what was it, 2010 or so, that suddenly Dublin's restaurant scene and restaurants all over the country started taking off in a way that you wouldn't really expect. There was a very quiet period when everyone was kind of like, oh, good God, what the hell has just happened? Yeah. But then, you know, foodie culture seemed to take off even more.
Yeah, and I think it's because property became accessible at that stage. You know, there wasn't, everyone, like landlords were stuck with empty premises. So it became very easy. But also then what you also had was people who couldn't get jobs in the sectors in which they had specialised or trained or, you know, been educated in. And suddenly they took a different path. And there are a number of them who did that and have opened up absolutely amazing restaurants. But again, very small, not with, you know, huge trimmings of furniture, etc. Did it on a shoestring budget. And that's where we've seen the culture, the cafe culture and the restaurant culture change.
And that's cool.
It's fantastic. It's really great.
Because you don't want to go to big kind of bland wannabe chains, like little, you know, lovely, pokey, funky places.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Look at the Fumbly around the corner here from you. It's amazing, you know, just lovely.
And now that the, shall we say, good times feel like they're on their way back. I know not everyone feels that way. You know, are you worried about the impact on the restaurant scene? I mean, might there be some restaurants that find, you know, there's a bland chain is going to be moving into their premises instead?
Well, I think what we need to be careful of is just the whole sector becoming overheated. You know, Ireland's not huge. So, you know, we have to be careful that there isn't just more and more and more, because what it does is it dilutes down the market. But at the same time, I think there is huge room for really good quality. And I think it's important that people still focus, though, on looking at it as a business and keeping their costs under control, looking at everything and not just thinking, well, wow, everything's great now, so I can do this, and kind of do it in a slightly casual way or not being hugely focused. It really has to run itself.
But anyone old enough to remember the Celtic Tiger years will remember a time when you were forking out through the nose for food, which very often was pure shite in some cases.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, do you think there's a danger that could come back again?
Yeah, I think we need to be very, very careful of that, because when things are good in the economy, people just take it for granted that people are going to come in and eat with them, and, you know, that it's sort of like the rising tide, you know, and that just doesn't work. People will vote with their feet, you know, and if you do something poorly, they won't come back into your premises. But I think we have to be very careful of just not running away with ourselves.
Even if we get to a stage where it's, you know, it's Friday night, I want to go out, I haven't made a booking, and the only place I can get is something that, you know, isn't actually that good. Then
cook for yourself at home. I shouldn't be saying that as a restaurateur, but at the same time, you know, it's just, you know, it has to be good quality. And I think, you know, that's what we've seen come into the sector, though. There's an awful lot of really fantastic places and people doing it at a good price. And, you know, long may that last.
Peachess, if there was one thing that was really key to your success, what do you think that was?
I think the longevity of our success is based on on change, constant adaptation, looking at the market, reacting to the market. And I think it's something that we all have to do in business. The wonderful Fergal Norton said, if you don't innovate, you'll evaporate. And it's very true. So I think that's been a key to our business, is being able to innovate, to move in different directions quickly and to react to market changes.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, do you think some even food formats, such as just as itsa or any of the food formats out there, once they kind of get going and they're focused on growth, do they lose focus on the actual product they're selling and keeping consumers interested?
Yeah, and I think you have to maintain that consistency with your product all the way through. And I think that's what we've been able to do. And it's something that we're very, very focused on. I think it's also engaging with your customer to see what their dietary requirements are, where they're going with how they want to eat as well. So I think it's about constantly listening to your customer.
I mean, what kind of dietary requirements are we talking about here? Things like gluten-free and a bigger push on vegetarian and vegan foods now.
That's there, and and again on healthy eating. And I think, but it's about having that balance. But there are a lot more dietary requirements. We're much more aware of allergies these days. We're all aware of our weight, our health, etc. So it's about having that balance there. We offer gluten-free options right across the board. We're very, very strong on that. It's something that you have to be able to go in somewhere and say, I'm a celiac, what do you have on the menu for me? So when we design dishes, when we're designing product, etc., it's all about making sure that there's something for everyone in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not confined just to bagels anymore, although that was your starting point. It used to be called It's a Bagel, and now it's just itsa.
Yeah.
And it's not just limited to that.
No.
What else is there?
So in 2000, and it was again when sort of the Celtic Tiger was in full whack, as they say. In 2005, we opened up a restaurant in Sandymount called It's a 4, and that led into us going and running the restaurant for Brown Thomas down in Cork. We're still down there running that for them 12 years later. And then when the recession hit, we started looking at other opportunities. We run the cafe for the Irish Museum of Modern Art up in Emma, and we're still up there, and that's going to be rebranding as Kemp Sisters very soon. And then when the recession really, really took a bite, we looked at where else we could go and other opportunities. And funnily enough, we started Joe's coffee. So Joe, there you are. So Joe's Coffee, and it was specialty coffee, and again saw how this was starting to take off in Europe and in the States as well, over in California, and created that as a healthy eating option, as well as fantastic coffee, really great sandwiches, great salads, great coffee and cakes. And then we established Alchemy, which is all about healthy salads, cold pressed juices. So looking at where the market was leading us, if you know what I mean. You're innovating, but you're hearing what's happening with people's dietary wishes.
And why was that the right approach versus kind of taking itsa even bigger? Because it's not omnipresent, it's not everywhere. It's not like O'Brien's was. Even when you started out.
Yeah, I think for us it's we're not into becoming absolutely enormous. It never has been on our wish list. It's about maintaining the quality, keeping small, focused, very in touch with everything. We go into all the branches. We know everyone in the branches. They know us. So, it's lovely to be that director, the person running that business, and when you walk in, the staff know you. So with all the locations that we have, and we also have Hatch and Sons, which is an Irish kitchen. So it's lovely to be able to walk into all those and see everyone, but also know what's going on the ground, and being very in touch on a daily basis with every single aspect of the business.
But when you talk about pursuing what people want, the different dietary fads of the moment, Alchemy is very salad focus and things like that. Next week you could have the World Health Organization telling us we all need to be eating 5 potatoes.
Well, then we'll do
the
that.
fads come and go.
It's a
spud. I saw a piece the other week saying like pasta is actually a slow GI carb, and actually we should be eating more of it, having avoided pasta like the plague for a long time. Is there a danger in kind of throwing too much into one particular fad?
Absolutely, and I think because they can be fads and they come and go, and I think it's literally taking a little bit of everything. Because I think if you put all your eggs in one basket, that basket suddenly falls, over to the side, and you're finding, as you said, that everything that you believed has been turned on its head. And that constantly happens with the medical profession as well, and all the investment and all the research they're putting into diet and how it has such an effect on our health. So I think you have to be very balanced is what I would say. And that's the way that we would try to look at the business and run the business, is in a balanced, measured way. Nothing extreme. Don't go and just do one thing over here, because you know what? In 6 months or 2 years' time, people will be fed up with that and they'll move on. And that's the way that we all are.
Yeah, I'm not sure people were too worried about carbs whenever you would have launched back in the day. So when people started like swearing off bread, did you experience it, as it were, in terms of a downturn?
Absolutely. You could see that the market was starting to shift. So you do find that. And we put a few salads into It's a Bagel, but at the same time, it's about bagels,
exactly.
So like we're not, it's a salad. So at the same, so we were like, no, stay true to what you're doing. This is the product here. And people will come because they like that product. Yes, you'll get people who will go off, and try something else. But when they want a bagel, they'll come back because it's a really good sandwich at the end of the day. So it's about having faith and not losing that confidence in your product, as long as you have a good product.
Are there any kind of particular concepts or food fads or recipes that you've looked at doing, or even started putting a brand behind it, and then thought, actually, this has not got staying power, or it's not something I want to be involved with? Yeah,
no, I think there are certain things that we just, if it's deep fried and loaded with sugar and fat and everything, wouldn't go near it. So it has to be something that we want to eat ourselves, and I love my food. I love good, tasty food, but I love fresh food and really good quality food. So our ethos is, I wouldn't serve anything to a customer that I wouldn't eat myself.
Have you ever felt under pressure, I suppose, by, whatever it be, rents or other costs of doing business to make cuts on things like ingredients?
No, you can't. You can go and try and buy better, but and that's just about negotiating with your suppliers. But no, I wouldn't go and substitute margarine for butter or anything like that. I just wouldn't do it.
But how much, stock do you have to put into whether your lunchtime bagel costs 5, 6, 7 or 8 euro? I mean, how much does that impact the likelihood of consumers to actually part with their cash?
In terms of their perception of price point. Yeah, it's huge, because they'll look at it and go, oh my God, that's like $6.50. Why is that so much? But what you're looking at is not only the cost of the raw ingredients, you're looking at your staffing costs, you're looking at your insurance, your rent, your rates, your electricity, all those sorts of things. So all of those things, it's just like you have the base of your sandwich, and then you're building all these costs up on top of it, and then you get to what the actual cost is, and that's your margin at the end of the day. So you have to there's an awful lot to take into consideration, and then it's a low margin business.
Are there any particular ingredients which we the ordinary Joe public might not appreciate are surprisingly expensive to put into some of your products?
You know what? I think when you have, you go for good quality stuff, it's always going to be that little bit more expensive. Like, we could go and buy processed meats and things like that are already baked in factory, etc., that would come to us. All we'd have to do is slice them and, put them out. And there are a lot of places that will do that. We wouldn't. We buy the raw ingredient in. We cook it ourselves, we slice it ourselves, so it's about the provenance and it's about the integrity of the product as well.
Avocados are very expensive, aren't they?
Oh yes, they are, and they're good, and there's a lot of waste on them as well.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you think about it,
because they go brown after,
and they go brown very quickly, etc. And some are ripe and some are not, and you might get a day on them. So
yeah. So what's the best part of your day at work?
Getting up in the morning and looking at, it's very sad, looking at my computer and saying, what do I have to do today? I love just getting up and seeing what I want to achieve every day. Going into the shops, going into maybe a new location, something that we've just started as well. It's that buzz of service. It's that buzz of seeing customers come in, the interaction with them. My day is multifaceted, and I think and Domini and I, we sort of take different divisions of the business and look after them, because otherwise you'd be busy fools running around doing a little bit of everything. So, very much keeping in touch, talking to my teams first thing in the morning, what's on, and then just taking it from there and going. Very much my day will be dictated by how things are going in the business. Of course, I have my meetings and things that are slotted in there, but I love just getting up in the morning and thinking about what the challenge of the day is.
Is your life a bit like a bowl of fruit and fibre? It's never the same day twice.
I haven't heard that one before. Yes, very definitely.
Yeah. I mean, what's a kind of what's a good day versus a bad day?
A good day is no complaints, no customer complaints, no one phoning in sick, deliveries going out smoothly overnight, not getting those early morning phone calls. When I wake up and I see missed phone calls, then I'm going, there's something wrong.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. So those are the good days.
Are you ever still out there on the front line, or do you have to muck in?
Oh, no, absolutely. All the time.
Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And sometimes my favourite place is washing the dishes. And I know that sounds silly, but it's great. I just love getting stuck in. Both Domini's exactly the same.
And I mean, I would imagine, though, it's very important for you guys to be on the front line so you're connected, even more connected to customers. So you can experience firsthand their changing demands.
Yeah, but it's lovely serving them and getting that feedback, and being able to have that chat, because your customer is king. And I know that sounds like such an old cliche, but it's true. And somebody recently said, your customer is the most powerful person in your business. They have the ability to fire the CEO. They have the ability to do all sorts of things, because if they vote with their feet and they don't come into your business, your business is going down the tubes. So your customer is the number one focus of your business. So I love going in. I love being behind the counter and being on the till. I love clearing tables. I love all that interaction. It's great.
There is that popular phrase, obviously, and everyone's heard it: the customer's always right. There must have been plenty of times where the customer was pretty damn wrong and you had to just kind of grin and bear it. I'm never
going to admit to that.
Not even a nugget, come on.
Listen, there are times when you have to sit there and just smile through grated teeth, but you know what? You have to listen to that. My mother used to say, in every accusation there's a degree of truth. And you might not want to hear it. And you might get someone who's completely and utterly unreasonable. But at the same time, that's the business that I'm in, that we're all in. You have to listen.
Okay. What does chill out time look like? Chill
out, yoga. Getting away on yoga retreats whenever I can. Love that. I play golf, not very well. As someone said, I'm either brilliant or brutal, and that just about sums it up. Going out, having lovely meals with friends and family. So that's my chill.
What's your favourite, shall we say, member of the competition when it comes to going out for one of those lovely meals?
Favourite restaurants? Yeah. Love Eto. Love Juniors. Lucio's. There are lots of them. Yeah.
And any other places you'd stop for a quick lunch, in the way that you hope people will stop for a quick lunch with you?
I'm not going to tell you all the opposition. No. All my places.
Naturally. Do you get enough time to kind of chill out, do you think?
Probably not as much as I should. Yeah. And I think it's very difficult to take. I think actually it's a discipline to take time out of your work. And I think it's something that you have to discipline yourself to do. And that if you do take that time out of work, that you turn the phone off, that you turn your email off, that you don't get involved. I was away recently and I left the phone on. And
big mistake.
Something went pear-shaped, 3 days into my holiday, and I spent the next 3 days trying to sort it out, and the holiday was over, So that's the discipline to say, you know what, you guys look after it at home. I'm going and just taking some downtime. And
I have to say, whenever I hear about people airlines putting Wi-Fi on planes, I feel like saying, do you know something?
Don't.
No. You're fine.
No, absolutely. No, I think it's, and we had a wonderful woman called Neve Fitzpatrick come in and talk to us in the EY program there, in one of the Spring Energizer, which is an event that we organise every March for the EOY program. And she was the one, she said, put that phone away. She said, you have to give yourself that time to just spend on your own and get this back.
And do you find that's very useful, the opportunity to chew the fat with other entrepreneurs and learn about, the issues they're facing and how that's kind of helped you, weather some storms?
Sure. We were very lucky, myself and Domini, to be nominated for the EY Entrepreneur of the Year program back in 2011. Really didn't realise at the time what a powerful community and network it is. And I'm very lucky to now be the chair of the alumni board. And it's something that's really so important, as we've all discovered, having been very lucky to be nominated into this program, is the power of the alumni, the networking, the entrepreneurship, the sharing of stories, the to be able to also talk about failures. I think we all talk about successes so much, but to talk about failures, and that's something that entrepreneurs, and especially in this format as a community, we do, and really help each other. So I think it's something that's so important. I think it's also about giving back. It's about mentoring. There's a huge amount that we do.
Are there any particular little, small failures down through the years that you were able to introduce to the other alumni as cautionary tales?
Well, I think, what you do is you hear stories from other, and certainly, we've had our failures, absolutely, and you learn from them. And if you don't learn from them, then you're a fool, because, that's the whole point of failure is something that makes you stronger. And if it doesn't make you stronger, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. You've got to take that and dust yourself off and move forward. So I think, the community is a really, really important one, because what we try to do is we try to nurture entrepreneurship. We try to engage with government as well to nurture entrepreneurship, because I think that's something that's very important for Ireland. It's something that really needs focus and recognition, because what the entrepreneurial community and what entrepreneurs put back into the economy is absolutely massive.
What things didn't work for you, and what did you learn from them?
We had certain contracts that we lost over the years, and what I learned was, with one particular one, was just not to put all my eggs in one basket. And sometimes you go along and you think, oh, this is great, it's going to go on forever. And if you lose that contract and you have put too much into it, or you're depending on it too much, it can shake the rest of your business.
Yeah, and no matter how hard you work and how good a job you do, some people just want change for the sake of change.
Absolutely, and it happens to all of us. But what was great is we learned from that, and again moved on and learned how to diversify and make ourselves stronger, so that if it did happen again, that we wouldn't get sort of rattled by it. So that's, as I said, those failures should make you stronger.
You were saying earlier you don't want it to become massive. Is that part of the reason why, that you like your work-life balance as it is, or within the realm of where it is?
No, I mean, I have nothing against expansion. I think expansion is good, and that's what we've done all along. But certainly for us, doing it on a very large scale is not something that we want to do, because we're very much focused on the quality. And and I think when it becomes too big, then you can't look after everything. You can't focus on that quality as personally as you can when you're slightly smaller. So certainly it's about, yes, we would love to expand, and we will always take opportunity and do that, but at the same time not at the cost of quality. And you have to be very careful in that balance.
Do you think, is it absolutely impossible to have, lots of restaurants, a chain that's on most street corners or, most town centres, and still have the type of quality that you guys offer?
Well, I think there are some that do it very well internationally, and and nationally as well. But I think that it's something that you have to have really good teams in place, going and checking that constantly. So if you've got the systems in place, then yeah, it probably can work very, very well, and it does work. But I don't think that is particularly for us.
Have you ever thought about, entertain the idea of bringing other people into the business, be it other investors or other people internationally who have experience of building something bigger? Have you ever thought about that?
Absolutely, and certainly would always look at that and welcome that. It's certainly, I think you have to look at what opportunities present themselves and then make your decision accordingly. So I think you shouldn't preclude anything, from anyone from coming into your business. But I think always to be measured about it. I definitely would look at that.
And what, when you're looking for the right people, just individuals to bring in, what are the qualities you look for?
Well, I think chemistry in terms of how you get on are going to be very, very important, that you have the same mindset about what you want to achieve and how you're going to do it. I think but the chemistry of getting on with that person or those people is going to be very important to the success of the business. So you have to have the same vision, you have to have the same goal, and you have to, I think, also have the same amount of integrity and ethics in how you want to do it. So are you going to just do something and make it huge at the cost of X, Y, and Z, or are you going to build something and, you know, be really proud of it? So I think it's like a marriage. You must make sure that whoever you get, you know, as a partner into your business has those same qualities as and values as yourself.
And you need somebody who you will trust enough that, you know, on the day when you wake up and you're feeling rotten for one reason or another, that you can actually say, they can handle it for today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the vetting process, I suppose.
Yeah. So what does the next year, what does the next 5 years look like for itsa?
Well, we're always looking at opportunity. There are a few pots on the boil at the moment, which is really exciting.
I love all these food puns.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't intended, but God, no, how corny. Anyway, so there are, a few pots on the boil, and very exciting opportunities that unfortunately I can't talk about here right now, but something that we would be looking forward to, I have to say.
Well, we all look forward to tasting them. Peachess Kemp, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tadhg.
Thanks for joining us today on The Architects of Business. Thanks to our guest, Peachess Kemp, our producer, Patrick Haughey, and all of the team here at JOE. Our programme is made in partnership with EY Entrepreneur of the Year. Go to JOE.ie to learn more about the finalists for this year. And don't miss out on past or future shows by subscribing for free on iTunes, on your favourite Android podcast app, where you can watch the show on YouTube. While you're there, check out some of Joe's other podcasts, including the Hard Yards on Rugby, the GAA Hour, and our movie show, The Big Reviewski. I'm Tadhg Enright. Thank you very much for being with us today, and we'll see you again soon.